Welcome to the latest William Hill FWA podcast. I'm joined today by the Daily Mirror's Darren Lewis, one of the experts on football. He's just been seeing the England game against Panama, and what a win that was, a 6-1 victory. Darren, interestingly, England's odds starting the tournament were 16-1.
Yeah.
They're now down to 10-1. If they finish second in Group G, they get even better to 8-1. If they finish top of the group, which should be a better position, they drift out to 12-1. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
It is a bit weird, but I think it obviously reflects the more hazardous route that they would have to take to get potentially, I'm not going to say to the final, deeper into the competition. I think the odds being cut full stop represent not so much the quality of the opposition that they've faced, because as everyone has been saying, it is only Panama. Having said that, Gerry, as you know, we've had some dark days against small opposition. Iceland, the USA, Algeria, where we've just not performed. And if you look at some of the big teams in this tournament, they haven't performed against some of the so-called smaller nations as well. You only have to look at Argentina and their performance against Iceland, who put us out of the Euros. So I don't really buy into the idea that it's only Panama. What I do buy into the idea of is the fact that Gareth Southgate's side are playing good football. They're playing with an understanding. They're carrying out his instructions to the letter. They've worked on set pieces. The Golden Boot leader, Harry Kane, is full of confidence at the moment. And there is room for improvement as well. I think that's the reason why their odds are being cut, but there is obviously a long way to go.
Obviously, we just talked about Harry Kane. He's now the favourite in the Golden Boot stakes. Neymar's drifted out. That one goal the other day. Messi was one of the favourites. He's completely gone from it. But Kane, I mean, that was the most bizarre hat trick in a way on the other day, wasn't it? Two penalties and one off the back of his heel.
But again, you look at the penalties that he scored, and it was only a penalty. Messi couldn't cope with the pressure of being gifted a penalty and taking it to give his side a crucial advantage. I think as far as Kane is concerned, the manner of the penalty shows you the confidence that's exuding through him at the moment. And yeah, that third goal, he won't know too much about it, but then obviously we know he's hungry for goals. We knew he was going to claim that all day long. And listen, he's talked before, Gerry, about wanting to be spoken of among the best players in European football, first of all. He's done that. Now he's talking about world football. He's doing that. I think 7-4 is a bit skinny in terms of being a favourite, because there is still a lot of football to be played.
Yeah.
And Ronaldo is in red-hot form at the moment. But at the moment, he deserves the right to be leading that race for the Golden Boot, and I think he's got a real chance of claiming it.
Now, we're assuming that Gareth Southgate's going to make some changes for the Belgium game. We know Roberto Martinez has said he's going to make changes. There are a couple of players on yellow cards, that's obviously one factor. One or two slight injuries, Kieran Trippier is another. But would he try and rest Harry Kane, or do you think that's something that Harry Kane wouldn't want? He wants to play, doesn't he?
It's a big debate, because I think a lot of people quite rightly point out that if he gets a knock, if he gets a kick in that game, then it could jeopardise our chances of progressing. But he does want the Golden Boot. He's hungry for the Golden Boot, and he's the captain. He could provide the kind of leadership that the players coming into the side might need against Belgium. And let's not kid ourselves. We might want to rest players, but we also want to win. Winning becomes a habit. We want to maintain that habit going through the tournament. What I do think is that when we rested players and we played a so-called second string against Costa Rica, we won that game and we played good football in that match as well. So we do have the players to come in, but I think Kane will play. I think he should play, and I think he does want that Golden Boot.
Now, as we said earlier, one of the players who was hot favourite for the Golden Boot, or certainly one of the favourites, was Lionel Messi. We're here in St. Petersburg. He plays tomorrow against Nigeria. You were just in the press conference. The Nigerian players are saying, "Well, we want to put him into retirement. Basically, we want to. If they don't get a result, if they don't win, they're out." And that's.
I think the interesting thing about Messi is that there's been talk that he may well go into retirement if Sampaoli stays in charge, because he doesn't really appear to know what he's doing, which is a shame and a surprise, because he did relatively well in charge of Sevilla. He's been Chile manager before, so he does appear to know. Well, he did appear to know what he's doing, but when we saw that performance against the Croatians the other night, he looked under pressure, he looked all over the place, and afterwards his comments in the post-match press conference when he suggested the players weren't doing enough to support Messi. I mean, you're talking about some wonderful players that he's got in that side, and I don't buy, Gerry, into this idea that they're a mediocre squad, because I think they've got players all over the park who have done wonderful things over the past season and over the past several seasons, and he's got some great quality on his bench as well. So there isn't really a reason why he should be in this position. But Messi is struggling under the pressure because Sampaoli puts it on him. And obviously, the nation put it on him as well. But I think Sampaoli puts it on him instead of getting some of the other players in that squad to step up to the plate and maybe take a bit of leadership.
And then in terms of the final betting for the outrights, that's shifted a bit. Germany have got out a little, but probably come back in because they're still alive and dangerous. Brazil still joint favourites, but Spain have come in as well because they're looking pretty strong as well.
They do look pretty strong. They do look as though they're gathering momentum. I saw Brazil play. Neymar scored the second of the 2 goals. They managed to score right here, actually, against Costa Rica. Philippe Coutinho scored in that match as well. That was his 2nd goal of the tournament, curled in that goal against Switzerland as well. They look as though they're building up a head of steam, I think. Now that Neymar's off and running and he's got that whole monkey off his back in terms of is he good enough to score, is he good enough to compete? He played the 90 minutes, he was in tears at the end. But, you know, there isn't an outstanding team in this World Cup. And that could be famous last words, but we've seen in past major tournaments there have been teams that you look at and think, I don't really want to face them. I'm not quite so sure. Even Germany, okay, they found a way to win the other day, but they're not a vintage Germany, are they? They're not a Germany that of yesteryear who could steamroller teams, 7-1 against Brazil at the last World Cup. So I think that obviously you've got to go step by step, but I don't think England have seen anything at the moment that would make them think we should be worried, and I think that those players will continue to maintain the confidence that they've got.
And a final word, this World Cup, above expectation, below par, or somewhere as you expected it to be?
I think it's been a terrific World Cup. I think a lot of people watching will have been enthralled by the goals, the thrills, the spills, the drama, but also the playing field being levelled, because so many of the smaller nations, Saudi Arabias, the Irans of this world, the Australias, I mean, a lot of people expected them to get smashed up against France. They put up a real good fight against Denmark as well, and I think we're seeing the benefits of so many players around the world going to the big leagues and improving alongside quality players, and then improving their national sides as well. So I think it's been a really, really good World Cup so far. It's amazing that we're halfway through. Everyone back home, obviously, as we gather, is enjoying it, and rightly so. And I think we've got some cracking games to come as well. The final games in some of these groups are just going to be so good because there is so much riding on them.
Fantastic. Darren, thanks for your time, and keep coming back to the FWA William Hill podcast.